Hello. We're going to do Feral Girl Summer Right, okay? With book recommendations. I'm out here in the bamboo. Hey, everybody. I came out and wanted to share some books that I have read or are going to read this summer. 2024. But it doesn't matter which summer. It's just summer vibes, okay? Not all of these are set in summer, but they have the feral girl vibes, okay? Before TikTok made it a thing. Alright? Yes, I'll be eating on camera because I'm a feral bitch. So, I got some nonfiction. I got one poetry book. There's a million poets out there that could be considered feral, okay? As a lover of poetry, I wouldn't even begin like every poet, every tortured poet, every ostracized poet is feral. But I'm going to give you some vibes today. That's what today's video is about. It's about feral vibes. It's about being unapologetic. It's about being yourself, even when you don't know what that is. That's what feral means to me. I am unapologetically myself. If I don't feel like wearing a bra that day and I have to go out into society, I won't wear a fucking bra. Well, hell, I don't wear underwear anyway, like underwear. I boycotted panties, God, 2 decades ago. Anyway, I digress. Feral is a lifestyle for me. It's very raw. It's very primal. Been like this since I was a child. Been called this since I was a child. I'm an advocate for it. Okay? What can I say? I've got the one poetry book and one, I guess you call it romance novel. I'm going to start with those because they kind of don't like, I don't know, they're kind of off to the side, you know? They're not novel or they're not fiction and they're not nonfiction. So, I mean, they are, but they're not, you know? I'm going to start with this one. I want to nod to my friend Summer over at Astaria Sin. She had mentioned this book. As a lover of romance novels, I harbor no shame for loving my tawdry romances, okay? I read them all the time. But she mentioned the Scaretti Curse by Christine Feehan. And as a Christine Feehan fan, I had never picked this book up. Traffic feral today too. She had mentioned this book and I immediately, you know, looked it up on Goodreads, looked up the synopsis and what have you, and I immediately picked it up. I'm just going to tell you that this had feral vibes, okay? Nicoletta is me. I related so hard to her. And I want to thank Summer for awakening me up to this book because this is definitely a reread. I have reread it a couple of times since I bought it, since she recommended it, and I just love it so much. I mean, basically, it's a romance novel. It's kind of gothic-y. It's set, you know, it's got gothic tones, gothic undertones. There's a big, giant, you know, scary castle that has some magic realism in it. It's Christine Feehan, so if you know, you know. But, I mean, it's not really about the plot. It's about Nicoletta. And she's barefooted and she has this, like, she can speak to nature and the wind speaks to her. I don't even know. But the scenes in this book, I was like, I relate to this girl so hard. And I love when I read a book where I feel that. Because I don't always feel that. Usually the heroines, especially in romance novels, are a little naive. Anyway, I vibed with Nicoletta. So the Scarletti Curse is book 1. Okay? The poetry book is What Kind of Women by Kate Baer. Super good. Now, I would say that some of them are like, you know how they say some poetry books nowadays are like Instagram books, Instagram poetry? Some of them could be considered Instagram poetry. but it's the feeling you get when you read it. Who gives a shit if it's Instagram poetry? I mean, if it's a sentence, there's some that have put books out recently that people have judged, but to me, even if it's like, you know, a sentence that doesn't really feel anything, that doesn't make me feel anything, then there's that. But even if it's simple poetry, it can make you feel all the feels, okay? And then there's one poem in here, 1,000 Wives, okay? This right here. The secret is my husband has many wives. One for bluebird mornings, one for doubt in the afternoon, one for the stretch of evening when the children perform their endless rituals. There is the business wife, the wanting wife, the wife who stands on the front porch and needs to talk to you. For a time we have the good wife, the thin wife, eventually the dead wife, the ghost of every woman who tried to change for you. I felt that. So yeah, so Kate Bauer made the poetry list that's just sitting over there that could be anyone and everyone. So, let's do nonfiction first. Oh, this is a good apple. I just finished reading this by Linda Leonard, Meeting the Madwoman. This book, it was good, okay? I liked it. It's divided into sections. The chapters are divided into, let me put my apple down. Oh, I'll be back with you in just a moment. First you have to meet the Madwoman. And then there's mad mothers and daughters. I really appreciated this section because there is a divide. I've noticed this within my own family, my own relationships, that there seems to be such a disconnect between mothers and daughters. And the way she goes about the psychology of that divide and needing to heal that, the mother wound. I felt that. So she starts out with a mother-daughter split, which is what the heroine's journey calls it. Then the actual archetypes of the mad woman. There's the caged bird, the muse, the rejected lover, the bag lady, the recluse, the revolutionary, and the visionary. And the chapters are laid out in such a way as when they can come up, like in the psyche, they'll come up for you. And it can be any of these. It can be the rejected lover. Almost like you'll see each one of these in yourself at some point. That was the rub. You'll see each one of these archetypes within you. You'll meet the Madwoman eventually in your life, if you haven't already. Packed in with some stories of her own, some stories of mythology, things like that. Really, really good book. I really felt feral reading this. Took a lot of notes. Okay. So, there's that. Meeting the Madwoman. So many people read All About Love by Bell Hooks. Okay? That lady, she makes Bibles, y'all. Okay? She makes Bibles. I'm going to just tell you that right now. Bell Hooks makes Bibles. But mine, All About Love was good. It was. Okay? I'm not going to say anything bad about it because it was good. But, mine is Communion. Okay? While All About Love was all about love, okay, this is about why we're searching for it. And then once we, how are we communing with it? Love as a noun, you know? And I felt this so hard. I felt this so hard. As a... Oh. Bugs love feral, ladies. Okay? Anyway, This particular one has become more of a sacred text than All About Love for me. Okay? The female search for love. I'm going to read it back. Renowned visionary and theorist Bell Hooks begins her exploration of the meaning of love in American culture with the critically acclaimed All About Love, New Visions. She continued the dialogue with the best-selling Salvation, Black People in Love. Now Hooks culminates her triumphant trilogy of love with Communion. Intimate, revealing, and provocative, it challenges every woman to courageously claim the search for love as the heroic journey we must all choose to be truly free. Freedom being a key word in feraldom. Or, it's not feraldom, it's feralty, but I have a lot of made-up words for feral, okay? Anyway, pick this up. Revolutionary. This is the revolutionary of this. Just now had that epiphany, but that's what that is. When you read the revolutionary section of this, meaning the wild woman that's the revolutionary, that's gonna shake the culture up and bring it into a new age, that's what this is. Alright. Now, I finished this one a long time ago, but I've been, after the other two books I just showed, I've been kind of going back to this, okay? The Too Much, Rachel, Vorona, Cote. It's really good. This just went into so many things that it's a muchness. This book is about muchness. This book is about feminine muchness. Muchness, not muchness. Ways in which we have been too much. And how it has bound us, like it says. How Victorian constraints still bind women today. Bind them like a corset. Then, the last nonfiction book the last nonfiction book I read, I actually read this spring. Like this spring. I had finished it. Not last week. Week before. So this was a springtime read for me, but it's still feral vibes. Untamed by Glennon Doyle. When I had picked this up, I didn't read any of her other books. I hadn't read any of her other stuff yet. But this was really good. Like, in terms of a memoir, the setup to this was really good. But Glennon has such a... Glennon. Love your name, girl. Glennon has such a way of talking about life. It's not overly romanticized, you know? The way she utilizes moments, I really appreciated it. So, from one feral bitch to another, I really liked your book. Super good. Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Super good. Actually, let me say something else. This was a good book for ferality because this book was almost about not knowing that you were feral. And certain moments, like I said, she uses moments pretty well. certain moments throughout the book unlock the caged one, which is another archetype in meeting the Madwoman. This is all about being caged, being bound, and being free, getting free of that. And it's like the trajectory they're in. That's why this book was so good, is because it really took you on a trajectory of being caged and feeling not like, that's my whole thing. It's about feeling like, this is not me. This is not me. This is not me. I know you're saying it is, but it's fucking not. I don't feel like it is. And it's this feeling you get throughout your life. And when you wake up to those moments, it's like, that wasn't me. That was me caged. So Untamed unlocked that shit. Super good. Alright, now we're going to move into the books. The novels. I picked this one up recently, Willows. Okay, it's kind of a witchy book. I actually was commented about this book on a recent video, and then I was like, oh my god, I just picked that up. Like, I just picked this up. And they had mentioned it, and I was like, god. So that was weird. So I'm going to definitely read this. It's jumped way up to my TBR, on my TBR pile. I'm going to read this summer. Sylvia Townsend Warner is the author, okay, because the text is small on this. Let me see this. Warner tells of an aging spinster's struggle to break away from her controlling family. I'm already there. A classic story that she treats with cool, feminist intelligence, and to which she adds a dimension of the supernatural and the strange. For Warner is one of the outstanding and indispensable mavericks of 20th century literature. A writer to set beside Joanna Barnes and Jane Bowles, with a subversive genius that, and this doesn't tell you what the book's about. Alright, no. Okay. Basically, Lolly, there's a controlling family involved, and she moves away. Kind of like the premise of Circe, by Madeleine Miller, who should have made this list. Okay? Circe is definitely a feral girl, and that is a favorite book, and I don't know why it's not out here. So, let me add right now, Circe by Madeleine Miller to this list. As a feral girl. But Lolly moves away, and, you know, she gains her, like, her feral freedom. And stuff happens, I think, that will make her feel more, like, some things will make her feel caged, while other things make her feel free. And it's about witchcraft, I think. The person that commented about this book talked about it having the devil involved, so I'm really, really fascinated about that. So like I said, I'm going to read this summer. And I never have too high of expectations, but I've got some expectations that I'm hoping will be fulfilled. So, Willows by Warner. Alright. Now some oldies, okay? But they're kind of oldies but goodies, right? Old, feral, old. But when I think of ferality, I think of these girls, okay? One I don't have with me out here is Anne of Green Gables. L.N. Montgomery. I don't know. Just thoroughbred, okay? Anne will forever have my heart. And if you want to know, Megan Follows is my Anne. She'll always be my Anne. I haven't watched the Netflix thing because I don't have Netflix, but I've heard good things about it. But Anne will always have my heart because when I was reading that book when I was young when I read it, I related to her so hard. There was just a way in which she was in her head. She was imaginative, right? And, you know, hopeless romantic, but she had such a way about her that I related to so hard. So, and it's nice to know that the ones that are like that have the mannerisms of ferality, like being in your own head, being imaginative, being daydreamy and kind of lucid. They still go through struggles. They still go through, like the whole Carrots episode. They still go through struggles in life. They still have a hard time with people understanding them. And I related to Anne with an E. So hard. So yeah, pick all those books up. Okay. The next one is Chocolat. Okay, by Joanne Harris. Now listen to me. The movie is phenomenal. Okay, the movie is good. I love the movie. But it's different than the book. My copy actually smells like chocolate because I had some chocolate perfume at one point when back when and I sprayed it all over this book. Like one of those little girly perfumes, but it smells like chocolate. The pages still smell like that chocolate perfume. It's faded a little bit, but it's just something cool about this, my particular copy of this. But Chocolat, okay? Vianne, it doesn't say that she's a witch, okay? But she has this kind of intuition about her. She has this intuition that I appreciated in this book. And the relationship between her and her daughter, the relationship between her and the town. Like I said, the movie is a little condensed. It's a more of a condensed version. But the book goes into a little bit more detail about Vianne and about her it doesn't say it, but it's like an aside that it's her magic. Her magic is knowing people's favorites, intuitively knowing what someone needs to make their dreams fulfilled. And much like in witchcraft, okay, when you have an intuitive thing like that, you can do that for others but not yourself. So the whole story is wrapped around the fact that she can do this for so many people, but she can't lock down what she wants, what she truly wants, and what she truly desires. I actually love that Rue, the male in this, is a ginger. They picked Johnny Depp for this one, but he's a bona fide ginger in this, and I just love him. I just love him to death. He's got a very good personality in this book as a ginger, I don't know, vagabond. And he loves Vianne. But because of his vagabond nature, and because she doesn't know what she wants, she doesn't know how to lock down what she wants, there's some clashing involved, you know? And then I know, so anyway. Pick the book up. If you like the movie, I will say this. If you like the movie, pick the book up and give it a go. It's not that long. I've actually read, there are a lot of books that Joanne has written that are set in this world. Okay? The Red Shoes one, Peaches for Lacan. There's a couple of books that she's written that I wouldn't call necessarily sequels or prequels or anything like that. They're just set in this world. Set in this world with Vianne. And they're all good. All of them are good. Actually, the second one of this, The Woman in the Red Shoes, was phenomenal. Like, it had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like I said, there's magic, there's ferality, there's not knowing who you truly are, what you truly want. Super good. So if you like the movie, pick Chocolat. And then the next one is also a motion picture now. Fantastic motion picture. Is Frag Green Tomatoes. Okay? You can actually travel to the whistle stop in my state, in Juliet, Georgia, down South Georgia, and the small towns of Georgia, they're a culture all of them own. Okay? The South has its own ferality for me. South of the U.S. has its own ferality. It has its own thing. Okay? And this book is set there. It's actually set in Alabama. But the Whistle Stop Cafe actually is in Juliet, Georgia. Still the South, right? And it's still, this book covers the South in the 50s and some of the harsh conditions that the South went through. The people of the South went through. And this is laid out in kind of a weird, it's kind of weird, okay? Because it's set up like you're at the Whistle Stop, which is a cafe, okay, if you're familiar. It's about Ruth and Iggy, and they start the Whistle Stop Cafe, okay? And it's like a center point for this big town, right, that they live in. And I don't know, you bounce back and forth between the Whistle Stop, which is Ruth and Iggy's story, a very romantic, almost, I'll even call it lesbianic. It's a sapphic. I felt sapphic reading it. I want them to be. I think they're lesbians. But Ruth and Iggy. But then it bounces to the present, okay, with Miss Townsend and Miss Couch. And she's visiting, like this Eleanor visits Miss Townsend in the nursing home, and they kind of talk, and Miss Townsend actually shares Iggy and Ruth's story with her. So it's just like about the storytelling. It's the aspects of storytelling. It's the aspect of the story of the South in the 50s. And then it's just the overarching story of the again, it's about moment. It's about a moment in time. And Ruth and Iggy had a moment in time that involved the Whistle Stop. But it's just about time marches on. It's about, they have such a good story. It's about the power of storytelling, which is a huge thing down here in the South. It's a huge thing in a lot of cultures. But it's about storytelling, and it's about how it doesn't matter how beautiful someone's story is, or how beautiful the cafe is, or whatever. It's in ruins now. At the end of the book, it's in ruins. They're dead. These people have been forgotten now. And it's just like this transient beauty. And that's so good. So, like I said, the book is kind of set up in a weird way, because we're kind of bouncing back from that time to present. And then we've got some newspaper clippings in between, and recipes and stuff. It's a really good book. But I will say that if you don't like the bouncing aspect, the bouncing between times and stuff, just watch the movie. The movie goes, it's the same kind of a premise. I would just watch the movie and be good with it. It's a fabulous movie, okay? All of the characters in that, I just felt that they really knew the characters. So, but in terms of ferality, I will say that Iggy is my feral girl in this. Iggy is very, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to live how I want, and nobody's going to stop me kind of an attitude, you know? And then when Ruth comes on the scene, you kind of think for the majority of the book that Ruth's going to tame her. That's the whole thing, is that, that's the whole point, is that Ruth is supposed to tame Iggy. But then, instead of taming her, they fall in love. And, fucking powerful, man. Like it's kind of like, you know, I'll bring you over to the dark side, but there's no dark side. Just don't live your life for somebody else. Anyway, okay. And then I put the Obscene Madam D on here. She my feral girl, okay? This is like 88 pages, but I did not want, I'm gonna say this, I did not want to read this in one sitting. I wanted to read a little bit of this and then sit and look at clouds and go, what did I just read? And then when I was done doing that, pick it back up and read it again. And then I was like going back and forth. So it's not something that you want to read cover to cover in 5 minutes, because it'll only take you that long to read it. But you're in the head. It's like an inner monologue of this Madame D, okay? And she's just phenomenal. I liked it. I can't show you this cover too much because there's some obscenities, okay? Some sexy, sexy drawings. Huh. So, I'm going to leave it back here. But, I don't know, if you can find it, it's pretty cool. If you like inner monologues, if you like going down rabbit holes, but it's, like, you know how if you go down rabbit holes, you know how you spiral and stuff, and you like mind maps and stuff? You're doing that with somebody else. It's pretty, oh, it's a trip, okay? And then the last one, okay, last book. Oh, hot, hot, hot. The last book one of my favorite authors, okay? I'm obsessed with her. Look at the rest of the birds. Yes, sir. Actually, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clarice Lispector is a force, okay, to me. Clarice has a way of bulldozing you down when you're reading something of hers. She just does, okay? Near to the Wild Heart is near to my heart. I love this book so much. It's just, it's about a life, okay? It's about a feral life. It's about knowing what you want and not knowing what you want. I think that's a theme here, okay? In ferality, is that you know what you want, but you can't always pinpoint what it is. You can't always say, that's what that is. That's what I want. It's just like a vibration, right? I felt that a lot in this. This is about Joanne. And, is it Joanne? Joanna. Sorry, Joanna. There's too many Joannes. There's Joanna is, she's a girl, and then she's a young woman, and then she's a woman, and then it's over. And it's like, I want to know her. I highlighted some stuff in this a while ago that so feral, okay? To be free was to carry on after all, and there again was the beaten track. I'm looking at the screen, and I need to look at y'all. How could she prevent him from developing his four walls over her body and soul? And was there a way to have things without those things possessing her? Why did a waxed, clean house make her feel lost, as if she were in a monastery, forlorn, wandering its corridors? The theme, there's an underarching theme in this book about the sea, okay? And it reminded me so much of The Waves by Virginia Woolf. This metaphoric sea. Oh, so powerful. I love that so much, okay? I try to push away everything that is a life form. I try to isolate myself in order to find life in itself. However, I have relied too much on the game that distracts and consoles, and when I pull away from it, I find myself brusquely forsaken. This is quotable. This is quotable. I am working on memorizing some of these. It was never a dull moment. It really never is with Lispector. But I want her in a room with me. I want her feral ass in a room with me. And I want to talk. Can't now. I can from the spirit world. I'm going to try to conjure her ass up from the spirit world. But I just love her so much. She's one of my favorite authors. And she feral. She feral. Just pick up anything by her. So, alright. That was all. That was all the books that I have for Feral Girl Summer recommendations, okay? If you have any recommendations for Feral Girl Summer, now I want to tell you that in terms of the TikTok craze and some of the recommendation lists that you'll find online, a lot of the premise puts too much emphasis on the word girl, where the protagonist or even possibly the main character, if there is one in these book lists, is like 18 to 20. That's not my vibe, because it's like, I love those books. I love those YA type books. I like the YA books too, but I don't think that age has anything to do with ferality. I'm not going to put emphasis on age in ferality at all. The protagonist, the antagonist, main characters, the semi-characters, if I find them feral, I don't give a fuck about their age. So I guess just be careful if you're looking online. A lot of the premise will be the YA kind of an age range, and it can be anything. If they make you feel unapologetic, if they inspire you to create, if they inspire you to destroy, if they inspire you to be completely unobjectively yourself, they're feral characters. And I want to know who they are. So leave me your feral recommendations below. Hope everyone's having a great day. Much love.